Hello and welcome to the DH Pickleball Show. My name is Mike Behrens. I am your host, where every week we sit down and we talk with my man David Henry, who you can see on your screen right now, and we talk about his pickleball journey and what he does to get himself on a path to chasing that pro status that he's after. So we're going to sit down and talk a little bit more. Here we are in episode 7 now. It's pretty cool that we're already on episode 7. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited to be doing that. So, David, welcome to the DH Pickleball Show. How are you, man?
Yeah, doing very well, man. Thank you so much. The gray hair probably gives it away, but we should say senior pro is what I'm trying.
Okay, yeah.
To get at. Not pro, but I'm sure that everyone watching sees my gray hair and they know that is a given. That it's not the not the Young Guns Pro Tour, but it is the senior one. But doing very well. I am just a super crazy busy day. I had a ton of Zooms for work. As you can see, I'm still not in my normal t-shirt. I'm still in the work Zoom attire, but everything's good, and I'm happy to sit down with you again and record another episode.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Okay. And so in tonight's episode, we're going to kind of dive into a little bit about how you stay on top of your game, what you do. We've had a bunch of episodes in the past. For those of you who haven't checked it out, please do so. Check out. There's a lot of great content. We had a update of David's month of June, how he played in the month of June, the tournaments that he played in. Then we talked about some swing weight stuff and some customization and a whole bunch of stuff. So definitely go back and check out some past episodes. But in tonight's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about how David improves his game and who he works with to improve his game. So let's just start with in episode 1, you were talking about how you've taken some private lessons in the past. And that was what really kind of kicked off your pickleball game and got you to the next level from being a beginner. So tell me just a quick, who are you training with? What did you start? How did that come about even to get started taking lessons?
Yeah. I'll repeat a little bit from episode 1, but not a lot. But yeah, so there was basically, I got started with pickleball, bought some expensive paddles. I went out and treated it like tennis, and I absolutely hated it. And I said, hey, I'm done with pickleball. And I put those paddles on eBay, and, it was history. It was history at that point. But, some time passed, about 6 months passed, and I realized I hadn't given pickleball a fair chance. And so I said, okay, this time, I'm going to give it another chance because I'm sure I'm missing something here. And excuse me. And so I thought, but what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to find a teaching pro and take a lesson and try to learn the game the right way. And so I was fortunate that there was a pro I found, certified teaching pro, about 25 minutes from my house at an old indoor tennis club in northern Cincinnati. His name's Todd Jungling. And so I scheduled a lesson with Todd. I think it was the night before, or 2 nights before Thanksgiving in 2021, and went down to take an hour lesson with Todd. And that's where I really learned the game, and I learned how I was supposed to play. And I could see, here is how it's so much different than tennis with the way I was previously treating it. And, that first lesson, he started out just explaining things to me. Then we started dinking a little bit, which, critically important shot in pickleball. And he, working on not only just working on my technique of dinking and helping me from a form and technique perspective, but just explaining why you dink and, why that's an important shot. And then worked on some volleys and worked on some serves, probably a little bit that first lesson. But that's where it kind of all came together for me. And I'm like, I really now see how it's played. It's really fun. And, so then that prompted me to, continue playing and keep going from there.
Was it just the one lesson, or was it a couple lessons before you got really got that bug and figured it out?
Yeah, it was really just that one lesson. And then shortly after that, as I said in I think episode 1 too, I never played an official game of pickleball ever, and went in a tournament with a buddy of mine. And, we went 0-5, but we did, it was respectable. But it was just that one lesson, and then played a tournament. And then from there went into leagues and then more tournaments. And it just really all clicked that night. And, I was sold.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I bet. So the one lesson, and then did you keep training with Todd, or was that a one and done deal?
No, I kept training with Todd. Probably that was, I think trying to think of time frames, but yeah, I've probably taken over the last year and a half with Todd about 10 lessons, probably. Maybe
Okay.
more, 10 to 15. You know, I don't know. I've lost track, but a lot of them, and it's just been super beneficial. I mean, he's a great player himself. He's a great teacher of the game, and he's great at just like drilling with me, you know, and hitting shots and things. And so it's kind of evolved a little bit with us to the point where, you know, at the very beginning, it was a lot about, you know, teaching me the game and teaching me the different shots. And, you know, I mean, from a technique standpoint, just with my tennis background, I mean, I didn't have a ton to learn from that perspective. But then it's evolved over time to where at the beginning, he was more saying, here's what we're going to work on. Here's what we're going to work on. Now it's evolved more to, hey, what do you want to work on? What do you want to? He's asking
really?
me.
That's cool.
yeah. Just because I've got so much more experience under my belt in play, and you know, he's not there watching me in tournaments, and he's not there watching my leagues. So you know, he's not seeing firsthand of where I'm struggling or you know what I need to work on. So he asks me. So that's kind of one difference. And I mean, he's such a smart guy. A lot of times I defer to him and say, I don't know, man. You tell me what we need to work on. But then another big thing too is, you know, when I use the term lesson, I generally equate that, correctly or incorrectly, I equate that with kind of like a beginner, like learning. Whereas now that's not what we're doing. Like it's a practice session. It's a drill session, you know? And so we're just working on various aspects of the game, and he's got a huge hopper of balls and he just feed me ball after ball after ball. I mean, during an hour, I walk out of there drenched, and tired. And yeah, man, I've hit hundreds and hundreds of balls, you know, within that hour. So yeah, it's really a beneficial session for me.
Oh, that's really cool. So you just kind of show up like, what's this? Do you show up or do you text him ahead of time and say, hey, this is what I want to work on today? And then how's that look when you set up your training? Yeah.
I mean, he sends out like a weekly newsletter to a bunch of subscribers, and he's got a Calendly app on there for like, to schedule lessons. And so that's where I generally pick my available time slots and, get things scheduled. And then he's moved around facilities. So that facility that he was first teaching at, it actually was sold to a new owner, and they're actually turning it into dedicated. It was an old indoor tennis facility. Now it's open. It's called the Pickle Lodge, and it's a brand new indoor pickleball facility. They opened just recently with 9 indoor courts. They're eventually going to have 17 at a restaurant. Anyway, really cool. But that's where he was teaching at the tennis club. Well, so when the ownership changed, and then they started doing a bunch of remodeling and everything, he didn't have a place to do it. There's a guy that he's friends with who's a pretty high level player here in the Dayton area, and fairly wealthy gentleman. He's got this gorgeous pickleball barn in the back of his house, and when I say barn, like it's not what you think of like a farm barn. It's like what you think of like a luxury barn.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so since Todd didn't really have a home to teach, that guy allowed Todd to teach out of there for like January, February, March. So I took a lot of lessons in this past January, February, March there. And then once the weather got nice, Todd started going back outdoors for court availability. And so I've taken some there with him. And then he's actually going to be teaching at that Pickle Lodge, the new place. He's going to teach there as well. But yeah, so that's kind of the scheduling and where we do them. And then, I mean, it's basically when I arrive at the court, we just talk and just say, hey, what do you want to work on? And I say, I don't know, what do you think I want to work on? Or I tell him, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I really want to improve this. And so, yeah, it's just a really, really solid partnership that really seems to help me.
That's awesome. Okay, so a very important question here. When are you going to have your own pickleball barn?
I don't know. I don't have any plans in the works. Let's just say that. But it would be nice. It would be nice. It would be very, very nice.
Wouldn't that be cool? That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
I could equate that to like having a home gym that's really like dialed in and super nice. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You for your home gym, because that's the world I know you come from.
Sure.
little less space and probably a little less expense than a luxury pickleball barn. But hey, it's a good comparison.
Nice. That's awesome, man. That's very, very cool. I dig it. Okay. All right. So back to the training. So when you were training, what's the frequency? How often do you train with him?
Yeah, that is real sporadic, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
It was sporadic for when we first started. I took that first lesson. I loved it. Well, then Todd got a really, really, really serious case of COVID, like hospitalized. So I took that first lesson. Wow. I took that first lesson. I was ready to go. I had 2 more on the books with him already for like the following 2 weeks, and got an email from his wife saying, "Hey, he can't do the lessons." Yeah, it was real serious, but he fortunately pulled through. And so then there was a gap. So we took some, and then I rolled my ankle, and so I was out for a while. And then it's just been real sporadic. Like that's an area that I actually need to get a lot better at, is being much more consistent with my lessons with Todd. Because right now we're sitting here at late July of 2023, I believe, for this episode. And it's probably been a month and a half since I've taken from him. And so I get back. I got to get a much more regimented schedule to benefit my game. I think that would just help me a lot more than sporadically doing it. And it's really my fault, not his. Like he's available now. It's just me. Other things get in the way. And that's a thing that with pickleball that most people, and again, you got to remember, there's just a lot of recreational players out there. Okay.
Yeah.
But
totally.
Most people just go out and they just play. Yeah. You just play games. Even if it's rec games or league games or whatever, you just play games. Very, very few people truly drill and practice. I mean, obviously at the pro level, people are doing that. And again, most people are rec players. They don't want to drill and practice. Yeah. But I have some lofty goals as to where I want to go with my play. And so that is an area I need to get a lot better at, is because I do just play a lot. So I do need to do more lessons with Todd on a much more regular basis. And then even there was a guy last night I was playing with, really, really good player, Jeremy Campbell. And he just mentioned to me that, hey, even when we're not working with Todd, because he works with Todd too, he's like, but we just need to get together and just drill, the two of us more, Oh, yeah. And so I really am making a much more of a priority of more frequent, more regular lessons with Todd, and then also drilling with other guys, that are trying to improve their game as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Are these always solo trainings, or do you have group trainings? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Everyone but one has been solo. So it's an individual lesson. I mean, those are the most costly for me. I think it's $60 an hour for just me, and I think if it's 2 people, it drops to $50 an hour. But anyway, yeah, sure. He makes more money if there's more people, but it costs me less. Yeah, but anyway, so no, all of them have been individual private lessons except for one, and it was actually really, really cool, fun lesson. So there were 2 other players besides me. So a guy I played some doubles with for like one tournament last year named Dan, and his wife Leanna. Real good players, real nice people. And so we decided to take a 3-person lesson with Todd. And so what was great about that is that most pickleball, as I've told you, is doubles. So 4 people playing at once. So we had 3 people plus Todd. So we had our 4. So we just played real situation. And Todd would partner with me for a while. Then he would partner with Dan for a while. Then he would partner with Leanna for a while. And what was awesome about that is you play out a point, and then as soon as the point's over, Todd can stop you in real time and say, hey, here's what you should have done, or here's what you did great. So it's that real time feedback in an actual gameplay situation that it was really helpful. So I actually probably need to do more of those lessons too, instead of just the individual ones all the time.
Yeah, no, that seems super valuable. I mean, it's like really having a coach on the floor, on the court with you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Cool. It was great.
Yeah. So obviously you're going to keep working with Todd. I mean, are you going to try to up your schedule a little bit? I know you just mentioned that you need to be a little more consistent with it, but do you have a plan there, or what do you think you're going to do with Todd?
Yeah, no, I mean, I need to make it. I mean, he's available, so it's up to me to do it. And while I keep working with Todd, yeah, most likely. I mean, I'm a fairly loyal guy, and Todd's been nothing but great. I mean, he's such a great guy. He's such a great player. He's such a great teacher. He has really helped my game. at the same time, I say that is it's as I'm trying to be the best I can possibly be, probably ought to see, what other instructors and coaches look like, and
Sure.
they might be different. And I'll be honest, there's a local guy that I've played with, I played against, and met just I think like once or twice, and he gives some private lessons, and he's a great player too. So I may take a lesson with him, and he's 35 an hour, where Todd's 60 an hour. So maybe there's something to it. But again, I absolutely love Todd to death, and
Sure.
we'll most likely continue working with him. But like I said, to be fair to myself, I probably ought to just see what other coaches are out there in my area, if they could possibly help me as well.
Yeah, that's what was going to be my next question. Is there even a lot of pro coaches in your area, or teaching pros, or whatever you call it? You call them a teaching pro. Is that right?
Yeah, certified teaching pro. I mean, so obviously you got like touring pros, and then you have teaching pros, and he's not a touring pro. He's a teaching pro.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say in the greater Dayton, Cincinnati area, which is huge. I mean, Cincinnati, Dayton, Cincinnati especially, but big towns. The greater Cincinnati, Dayton area, probably less than 10 that I've heard of.
Oh, okay.
That I know. Gotcha. So not a lot. As the game continues to grow, I'm sure there'll be more and more people getting certified and teaching and earning incomes from teaching lessons, but not a ton right now that I'm aware of.
Got it. Okay, cool. Is that something that would ever interest you, to be a teaching pro?
No.
When your playing days are kind of winding down a little bit.
I mean, no. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't love the idea. I mean, you and me talk on other things too, and I do. I work a corporate job, which keeps me super busy, and I like it. I'm also into more passive income type of things, with some other business opportunities and ventures that I do. Sure. And that's like trading hours for dollars. Like, you're on the court, and sure, you're making decent money, but you're also trading time. So I don't know. I mean, I won't rule it out, but it's probably not on the top of my list.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's fair. Sorry to put you on the spot a little bit.
That's what this show's about, man. Putting me on the spot.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So, all right. So, you've been working with Todd for a while. You're going to keep working with him. You're going to explore some other people. Have you worked with any other teaching pros as of yet?
Yeah. Well, a camp that we're going to talk about in a minute, that doesn't count, because those are like touring pros. But
okay.
But as far as private lessons, one time, one guy, and I will keep him nameless.
That bad, huh?
I mean, he is. So I'm 52. So when I use the term older guy, we're talking.
He's an older guy.
Old. Okay. So I don't know, man. This guy's probably in his mid to late 70s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And probably was a decent player when he was younger. Still a very, very good player. But I took the lesson, and it was just like polar opposite of taking with Todd. He wanted to just really talk and explain the game and the rules and things we went along. And by that point, when I took that lesson, I was well on my way of playing pickleball, and it just wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for a drill session where I go in and hit hundreds and hundreds of balls and really work on my form, and it just wasn't that. I got some decent photos and video. I took my daughter along, so she filmed some for me, so at least I got something out of it. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest lesson.
That's all right. You learned what you don't want, I guess.
For sure.
All right. So you mentioned that you took a camp with some touring pros. So let's talk about that now, and tell me what was that like? I know you said you've told me that it was in Arizona, but can you just share like what it was and what brought that on? And
yeah. I mean, we can get into some of the details of it, but just initially, it was just a camp. Riley and Lindsey Newman. So basically, they are our top touring pros. So Riley is actually probably the number. The top doubles team is a brothers team named Ben and Colin Johns.
Okay.
And then right on the heels of them at number 2 is Riley Newman, and he was partnering with a guy named Matt Wright. They just broke up their partnership, but number 2 doubles team right on the heels of the John. So Riley is a top doubles and mixed doubles player. He doesn't play singles professionally, but he plays doubles and mixed. So just elite of the elite pros. And then his sister, Lindsey, they used to partner together. They don't as much anymore. She's got 2 really, really young kids. And so I think that is obviously makes sense. Her priority, is just being a great mom to them. And so she's not playing on the Pro Tour as much as she used to. So that's where Riley has had some other mixed partners. But yeah, it was a brother and sister team of Riley and Lindsey Newman that put on the camp.
That's awesome. And it was where in Arizona was it?
Mesa Gilbert, so right there in kind of central Phoenix, so Phoenix, suburbs of Phoenix, but like Mesa Gilbert area.
Okay, cool. And was that the only reason you went to Arizona?
No, it was actually a really, really cool trip. It was last October, and my wife has been an middle school now teacher for many years, and our district always has a fall break, so like mid to late October, a week off. So yeah, it was really primarily like a long date weekend for my wife and I
awesome.
to escape Ohio. Not that the weather's bad in Ohio in October, it's not, but it's certainly not 90 degrees and sunny like it is out in Phoenix. So yeah, that was the main purpose of the trip, is just for Brandy and I to have a kind of a long date weekend, just get away and relax poolside and go out to eat and hang out.
Nice.
And then also another cool reason is I use, we'll probably talk about them in future episodes as well, but I use these elite level nutritional supplements from a company called Xendurance, and Xendurance is headquartered out in Scottsdale. So while I was out there, I was able to go to headquarters and meet with the owners and some of the leaders of Xendurance, and we actually did a really cool photo shoot for pickleball. Yeah. So we went to these private courts and had Xendurance's lead video photography guy, Andrew, who's awesome. He was there and kind of led the charge, and we did like a pickleball photo shoot for Xendurance. So it was really cool. And so then this camp was just kind of gravy on top. I just happened to be, looking ahead and I don't even remember how I ran across it, but saw that they were having this camp out there, and it was going to be right when Brandy and I were out there for the trip. So I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw some of the photos that you've posted, and for those of you who haven't seen them, if you follow DH Pickleball on Instagram, he posted some of the photos there. Andrew's a stud. I know Andrew personally, so he's a great photographer and puts together some good stuff. And the whole content for the trip was turned out really, really well. So with Xendurance, just how did that come about? Did you reach out and say, hey, I'm going to be in town, or how did that photo shoot happen?
Yeah. So I've used those supplements for about 3 years now. And again, they're just elite of the elite supplements. I absolutely love them. Super clean, super healthy, high performance, sports performance supplements. And so I've used them. And then I work with the company as like an influencer affiliate to help get the word out about them. And so I'm in frequent contact with the owners and the leaders. And so, just let them know, hey, we're coming out, and, could we get this, a meeting and a little bit of photo shoot? Cause I knew how great Andrew was at the work he does. So I'm like, if I could have the opportunity to have him do some of the filming and videoing, it would be good. So and it just, they were available. I was available. It just all worked out perfectly.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And so if somebody wanted to learn about these supplements that you talk about, where would they go to find out more information about supplements real quick?
dhpickleball.com/supplements. Cool. I've got a video there that just explains kind of the key supplements for pickleball that I use. And so, people can go there and learn some more.
Nice. We can put a link in the description to that too, if you want to check there. So that way you can find out more. So very cool. Yeah. I do a little bit with Xendurance as well. So they're good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So while in Arizona, you got your picture taken. You definitely did look good in your pictures. I will give you that. I mean, they made you look like a pretty good pickleball player.
Yeah, they made me look good.
So how did the camp do? What did the camp do for your pickleball? Like, what was the experience like? What was the facility like? Kind of give me the whole.
Yeah,
you and I never really talked about it. I mean, I know you went to the camp, but you never gave me the full skinny on it.
Yeah, this will be some news for you. A lot of times what we talk about on these episodes, you kind of already know. So this is something a little bit new. But yeah, I'm looking at some of my notes here on my phone about it, so I can make sure I give a thorough rundown. Because again, it was last October, and I'm 52 years old.
Sure.
And the memory's just not there. But no, it was at this great facility out. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's officially in Mesa or Gilbert. I think Mesa, but right in that area. And it's called Bellbank Park. It's actually funny, the name, because they've got so many different names, and they sell sponsorship rights to names or whatever. So I think it's called the Rockin' Protein Pickleball Center at Legacy Sports at Bellbank Park. So I think I think a sponsorship bought the naming rights for the center. Legacy Sports was who was running all the programs there, and then Bellbank Park is the park where it's situated. But it's one of those it's super new. And it's one of those massive sports complexes where they have soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball, volleyball, pickleball courts, tennis courts, swimming. Like, it's just this restaurants. It's like this just massive sports complex. It's really cool. They have, I think, 41 dedicated pickleball courts. And those pickleball courts are permanent lines, permanent nets, lights. There's actually one of them has like an open air roof over it, and it's a stadium court that they use even for pro tournaments. So the facility was just absolutely top notch. And I think camp went from like 6 to 9. So it was like a 3-hour camp.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you about the structure and what we did. But one of the things I thought was funny and interesting was that the camp started at 6. And this is October in Arizona. And so, it was still in the mid 90s as far as the temperature. And I think, that time of the year, I do want to say it starts to get dark about 7:30-ish. And so 6 o'clock, we're out there on these courts, and the camp started. And there were about 20 of us. It was one thing. It was $125 per person, so not terribly costly. And I think there was about 20 of us. And so with 2 instructors, that was about a 10 student to 1 instructor ratio, which was great. Yeah. But anyway, so we start playing at 6 o'clock, and it's hot and sunny and everything. And there's 41 courts, and there's hardly anyone on any of these courts. And I'm scratching my head thinking, the Valley, as they call it out there, the Valley is like a hotbed for pickleball. Like, where are all these people? Well, then as the night progressed and the sun fell down and it got dark, the court started filling up. So I'm like, oh, okay. All the locals aren't stupid like me. They know to wait till the sun goes down before they come out and start playing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a dry heat, so it's not bad, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will say, because I spent some time in Arizona, I spent some time in South Florida, and even Ohio is super humid. I mean, there is a huge difference. I mean, 80
totally.
82 in Ohio or South Florida with the humidity feels hotter than 90 out in Scottsdale or Phoenix. But 90, 95 is hot no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, it's just a running joke every time I go out there and talk about how hot it is.
I know. It's a dry heat.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so facility was awesome. It was a little warm, but that's all right.
Yep.
What about the instructors? How were the Newmans?
Yeah, so they were great. So I wasn't sure how they'd be like on court, on video, on TV when I'm watching live stream of pro matches. Lindsey seemed a little dry, and Riley seemed a little arrogant. And so I wasn't sure how, I'm like, we'll see how this goes. In person, man, they were awesome. I mean, they were both, like, Lindsey wasn't dry at all. Like, she was sarcastic and funny and witty, and, awesome. and Riley was personable and nice. I mean, they were just amazing people in person. And so it was cool.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, it's one of those deals that you never know what you're going to get when you have a pro / celebrity that you're working with on a camp. It could be a joke, and they just be happy that they were the ones that were there training instead of it was just their camp with somebody else running it.
Yeah. It was I got lucky because it was great.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So you told me what the camp cost, but what was the structure? Like, what did you do for the 3 hours?
Yeah. It was structured really, really great. So I would say for the first hour and a half, so the first half of the camp, there were drills. So basically, Riley and Lindsey got us together and they said, okay, here's the drill that you're going to do. Now go do it. And they sent us off to the courts and we would work with that campers would work together. So the first one was volley drills. We were just standing at the kitchen line, hitting fast hand, working on the fast hands and volleys, kitchen line to kitchen line. And that was great. And they just walk around the whole time, and they're watching and they'll stop and watch me. And then they'll say, hey, do this, or, hey, that's great, but this is not. Then they'll move on into the next camper. And so they were really giving great attention, on that volley drill. I think the feedback to me was I was having too big of swings on my volley because that's more of a tennis volley, which is a bigger swing. And so the advice to me was a little bit shorter swing, a little more compact, a little less arm. And I've incorporated that, but it was kind of known because I would come from the tennis world with those long, exaggerated volleys. So it was good feedback and feedback I needed to hear.
That's good.
Yeah. And so then that was first. So we did that drill for a while, and then they brought us all back together. And actually, when they brought us back together after that first drill, at the time they were sponsored by Gamma paddles. They're not any longer, but Gamma was their paddle sponsor. So they had some Gamma over grips that they were giving away, and but to answer questions. And so one of the questions was Riley was leaving the next day to fly to Dallas to play in a pro-am event. And so the question was, who is he going to be partnered with? Who am I going to be partnered with? He said, I happen to know that it was Dirk Nowitzki, the former Dallas Maverick basketball player. And so, cool. So I answered that question right and got some free Gamma over grips.
Oh, nice. That's cool. How'd you get the inside scoop on that?
I had just seen the advertisements for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like it was no big secret. Like,
Got it.
If anybody was paying attention, I was just one of the few paying attention, or I was the first one to, spit it out.
Got it.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah,
Very cool. Okay.
Yeah. So then we broke into another drill. It looks like that one was reset drills. So kind of beyond the kitchen line, kind of in no man's land, where the partner at the other side of the net would hit balls at you and you'd try to just reset it into the kitchen. Just a super important shot to learn in pickleball. And so that drill was good. And what sticks out about that drill I've noted here is that Lindsey was coming around talking to me on that one. And I was doing well. Okay. I was doing well. And she asked me, she said, you play tournaments? I said, yeah, I've played a few this past summer. And she's like, what level and how'd you do? And I said, well, 3.5 singles was what I played mostly at that point. And I said, yeah, I kind of got my butt kicked at 3.5 singles. And you and I have talked about it. My conditioning was poor and, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's like, really? She's like, you're a lot better than 3.5. And, you shouldn't be getting your butt kicked at 3.5 singles. And I said, yeah, I know. And I said, I've got a little bit of performance anxiety, where I do get nervous in tournaments. And she kind of looked at me and she's like, for a $3 medal? And I'm like, wow, yeah, touche. You're right. There is really nothing to be nervous about for us to win a $3 medal. So I thought that was very appropriate comment and thought it was funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's definitely not dry. That's for sure.
No, not at all. And so then we moved into it. And then a drill is a drop shot drill and a drive drill. So stand at the baseline and then drop and then drive and then drop and then drive. And that's where she came around there. And I was hitting a one-handed drive on my backhand. So a top spin, low to high, one-handed drive. Roger Federer-esque. I never did that in tennis. In tennis, I had a two-handed backhand because the longer, heavier racket, it was harder to hit that one-hander. Sure. But with the pickleball, it's a lighter, shorter paddle. So I'm like, hey, I can hit Federer-style backhands. So that's what I'd been hitting. And I was hitting it okay. I was hitting that shot okay. And she told me, she's like, I want to see you hit a two-hand backhand. She's like, have you ever hit that? And I said, yeah. I played tennis. It was always two-hander. She's like, okay, hit some two-handers for me. And after hitting like two-handers, she said, oh, your two-hander is far better than your one-hander. So start hitting that. And I said, okay. So then when I went back home, and the very first lesson I took with Todd afterwards, I told him her feedback, and he said, oh, let me see your two-handers. And so I started hitting them, and like two shots into that, he said, oh, not even close. Your two-hander's a lot better. So,
wow, awesome.
I've been hitting the two-hander. So yeah, I mean, just that piece alone of advice from Lindsey right there was, well worth the price of the whole camp. And so, that's improved my game drastically to move to that two-hander. So yeah, it was
very cool.
Yeah. So that was the first half of the camp, so just drills, like three drills and then feedback or whatever. Then they did in the second half, which was so much fun. It was similar to that lesson that I talked about with Todd. So they would put us on court playing, and they would walk around and give real-time feedback as we were playing games.
Oh, cool.
And Lindsey, she never hopped in any of the games, but she was going around giving awesome feedback the entire time. Riley actually jumped in the games with us. So there were a few points that I got to play with Riley as my partner, and then I also got to play some points against Riley. And that was just, it was just so incredible to see firsthand just the penetrating shots that he hit, how fast his hands are. It was fun. And so I will tell you this, that the points where I partnered with Riley, we won most of those points.
I bet.
The points where I was against Riley didn't win so many of those points. But it was cool. So that was just great feedback to have them commenting on real gameplay, just like that lesson with Todd. Cool. I just think that's so valuable. And so then we wrapped up with a little singles game to like eliminating one person at a time as you go around. I think I made it down to the final three, and then I got eliminated. But it was great, and they've been a long time sponsored by Takea, I believe is how you pronounce it, Takeya, Takea water bottles. They just make great insulated water bottles. Takea has been a long time partner of theirs, and so they actually gave away. Everybody gave a real nice insulated Takea bottle that their sponsor, donated and gave away at the end of camp. And then, Brandy was on the trip with me, and so she was a great sport. Where she just walked around the park and was getting some exercise and hanging out in great weather. But then she was also taking a lot of photos and videos for me, even though Xendurance was going to do so the next day. Brandy was still taking a lot of photos, and so. At the end, Lindsey said, "Here, take an extra water bottle for your wifey. She's been a great sport out here the whole time." So that was really cool. And then once the camp was over, like they weren't just packing up their stuff and bolting to their cars. I mean, they hung around, they answered questions, they took photos, with people. I got a great photo on my Instagram of one with me with Riley and one with me and Lindsey. And so it was a really, really fun experience.
That's cool. So I think it's safe to say that you would do it again.
Yeah, I would. However, what's interesting there is because the game is just exploding at the pro level. And Riley is such a top level pro. I don't think he needs the income from camps any longer.
Oh, sure.
Because back when they were teaching camps, the prize money is not that great, sponsorship's not that great, so you need other sources of income. And so teaching camps was a great source of income. But I think his earning potential is, gone beyond that. And then Lindsey, busy with her families, she was doing some Gamma camps because Gamma was her paddle sponsor, but now their water bottle company, Takea, is actually their paddle sponsor. So safe to say Lindsey isn't doing the Gamma camps any longer. But there's all kinds of camps out there. I mean, Gamma still offers the camps. Tyson McGuffin, he's a pro player. He offers a lot of camps. I mean, there's just all kinds of camps out there. So while I can't say yes to recommend that I would do it again or to recommend to other people go do the Newman camp because I don't think the opportunity exists for that anymore. But I will say just a camp in general, like do it. I mean, it's, as long as you've got high quality instructors, it's going to be a fun experience and you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Was this camp like a beginner level camp, a little more advanced? What was the level to participate in it?
I forget what the requirements were. I think it was like 3.5 and above, or 3.5 to 4.5, or I don't quite remember.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Very cool.
But no,
That's
it wasn't complete beginner for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you got any other camps coming up or anything like that you're planning to attend?
I do not. I mean, again, I wouldn't mind doing one and traveling to a nice place to do. But no, just
your wife probably wants you to go
first.
Get a date weekend in. Your wife is going to be all for it.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we definitely need to make some plans for this fall break in October and go somewhere. Go. So we'll see if I can squeeze a little pickleball in on that trip.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share about this camp, or that you're training with Todd before we wrap up this episode? Anything that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm just looking at my notes here. No, I think we hit all the high points that I wanted to cover, so I appreciate it.
And we definitely hit everything I wanted to cover. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the DH Pickleball Show. David, thank you for sharing your journey. I genuinely am enjoying hearing your stories. I know I get some of it more in real time, but when we get to sit down and record these, I'm genuinely enjoying hearing about your journey and following along just as much as I hope the listeners are. So for those of you listening, watching the show, please like, comment, subscribe, share, leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the episode and how we're doing. And if you have questions for David, leave some questions, and I'm sure he would love to answer them. And subscribe to David, DH Pickleball. If you want to follow me, Big Mike Behrens, just look us up. Would love to contact and stay connected. You can follow David on his journey on Instagram primarily. Just DH Pickleball on Instagram, and you can stay up to date with what he's doing. So with that said, thanks for tuning in this week to episode 7 of the DH Pickleball Show, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Mike. See you.